romantic science from his friend and mentor, Alexander Luria, a Soviet neuropsychologist, to describe his work. Although the term romantic science is a nod to the 18th century tradition of incorporating personal details into the study of illness, it also felt fitting in the more vernacular sense. Dr. Sachs was so deeply moved and impressed by how his patients navigated their worlds and built meaning into their lives, both despite and because of their conditions, that his case studies seemed not just explorations of human consciousness, but also odes to individual human beings. So when I was asked to look after Mr. Kessler, I saw it as an opportunity to observe how a person fights to preserve his sense of self, even as a neurological disease was eroding it. Some mornings, Mr. Kessler knew who I was. Some mornings he did not. Some days he resented my presence. Some days he was glad to have my company. And some days, as if in gentle reproof to his own forgetfulness, he looked at me and murmured, "How long have I been like this?" Or, "Why don't I remember?" Or, "I don't know how you put up with me." Although this shuttling between confusion and self-awareness is often part of the disease, it is not typically reflected in clinical discourse. Instead, we have words like insight to address the knowledge patients supposedly have about their condition. But such words strike me as naively binary. Insight isn't a switch that turns on or off in someone with dementia. Indeed, no description of a patient's awareness can capture the complex, contradictory nature of a mind under duress, or, for that matter, of the mind that seeks to alleviate such duress. For his part, Oliver Sacks disliked the term deficit, which he considered neurology's favorite word. He disliked it because it tends to reduce the patient to a functional system that either works or doesn't work. As with insight, the term doesn't allow for ambiguity. And what is both poignant and unnerving about dementia disorders, which are presumably all about deficit, loss of memory, loss of attention, loss of inhibition, loss of judgment, is that before such loss occurs, there is often abundance, an abundance of yelling, arguing, defending, fabricating, and accusing. More to the point, there is often an abundance of the self. Where there is loss, there may be compensating behaviors, moments when the brain does not surrender to the disease, but arms itself with those faculties that are still intact, marshaling everything it can to compensate for what is slipping away. We refer to this kind of compensation as leaning on our cognitive reserve, which is both apt and ironic, given the upheaval and chaos this hidden resource creates for patient and caregiver. By using the networks that still function, the brain tries to preserve a person's sense of self, enabling patients to argue, charm, convince, fabricate, accuse, and persist. All of which makes the line between pathology and resilience increasingly murky. Indeed, we might say it's a patient's cognitive reserve, rather than dementia disorders, that initially accounts for the behavior that bedevils us. Throughout this book, I use mind and brain interchangeably, but I favor the brain when describing specific processes and the mind when speaking generally about human nature. My usage does not signal an endorsement of either side of the complex and heated mind-body debate. Unlike cancer or congestive heart failure, diseases of the brain present no demarcation between the illness and the patient. Patients collude with their malady and become, as Dr. Sachs put it, a long-married couple, a single compound being. In which case, who exactly is responsible for odd or contrary behavior? The man who charged into my bedroom in the middle of the night and asked me to find his passport was also the man who told me 2 minutes after I located it to get out because he had no need for me. The man who quietly spoke to me for hours about his childhood was also the man who told his son that he and I never interacted and that he'd prefer to live alone. The more I came to know Mr. Kessler, the more I saw him as a compound being whose contradictions were not merely a byproduct of cognitive decline, but manifestations of a man who wanted it both ways, to be completely independent.